Okay, so tonight we have Eric and Alyssa Phillips, who are both chiropractors in Overland Park, Kansas, kind of newly opened. Super excited to hear about what you guys have going on. Would you guys like to kind of introduce yourselves, tell us how you met, and how long you guys have been married?
I'm Alyssa Phillips, and
I'm Eric Phillips. I told her I was going to have to think about how long we've been married, but I know exactly. So it's been about 2.5 years we've been married, and we met about 4.5 years ago on our second day of chiropractic school. So good.
Yeah,
So
Just dive in together.
yeah,
pretty much.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yep.
So can you tell us a little bit about your practice and your business and kind of where you're at with that and how you got it started?
So we're just starting our third week of practice, so extremely new to us. We decided on a space in November, and so we did the entire build out ourselves, and finally all the stress of doing build out and buying everything inside the office and putting it all together is over, but now we got the stress of starting a business. So it's been
Actually working on the business,
Yeah.
not the space. So
Yes, filling that space.
yes.
exactly.
So when did you guys decide you wanted to go into business together, and kind of walk us through your thought process of that versus going somewhere else or working separately?
So we had talked to a few mentors, and we had lots of varying opinions. A few of them said that we shouldn't work together. They thought that I might have the personality of trying to outdo Alyssa. But that's not really how I am. I think in a relationship, as in business, you've got to work together. That's one of the biggest things. And obviously going through chiropractic school together and being in the exact same classes, we learned to do that, and we learned not to compete and really just to work together. It came from stemmed from grades and boards. There are some classes she was good at, I wasn't. Some classes I was good at that she wasn't. Boards were difficult for her, but she made them through it. And really, it's just the working together and not having to bring work home was like one of the biggest positives. So
That's what we talked about with you guys the last time, was how you can leave it all at the door and then go home, and then it's home life. And we were possibly thinking of Eric buying a practice in Lawrence, and then I would work by myself here. But then something deep inside told me that that's not what God planned for us. He planned for us to work together and to build our life together here. So we ended up telling that guy no and building our practice together. So
it's been pretty incredible, though, I'd say, because what I don't have, she brings to the table, and vice versa. So that's just being dynamic.
Yep.
And no, we don't get tired of each other. Like everybody,
no.
Yeah,
it's work. Like, yeah, we're hanging out and having fun, but at the same time, it's business. So it's not like the most enjoyable hanging out it could be. So
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You still look forward to date nights.
yes, exactly.
Or going home and sitting on the couch.
Or doing absolutely nothing.
Have you guys had the days yet where you get through the whole day and then you're going home and you realize that you haven't actually talked to each other all day long?
Yeah, we have had a few of those days. Not a lot, though. Yeah, Thursday and Friday, because we were actually super busy, which was incredible for being in your second week.
Yes.
But a lot of times, like, I don't use my office. I literally just sit there and stare across at her and do my notes there. I don't know if she likes it or not, but like I just get bored in my office sometimes. So it's nice to like have someone to talk to. So.
All right. Well, so what were your all's overall goals when you set out to start this business? Can you kind of talk about what your dreams are, I guess, and where you're trying to get to?
So obviously we had a goal for like what we wanted our space to look like. And it was pretty lofty. We learned at the beginning because it's expensive to do that. We got very lucky, though, in terms of accruing funding and finding a landlord that was very, very helpful. She was willing to give us quite a bit of rent abatement to offset the build-out costs. And then we learned how to become very handy. So that kind of led us into YouTube and like friends that were our contractors and stuff. That kind of led us into a space that is like almost perfect for us. Not quite as big as we want, but it has everything that we could ever need. And really from there, like how we built it is kind of how the style of practice we want it to be. It's very open bay, which we want to be very open and family and close knit. So I don't know if she has anything to add to that.
I was going to say, the way that it's open, we're able to work together on patients.
Yeah.
Like last week, since he's ART certified, I'm not as great at doing anything like that for lower body, and I just had him tap in for my patient, and he helped her with her sciatica pain. So it was like, it just kind of cool how we can work together.
Yeah, it's been a really good experience with that, because patients really, you think they might think that you're getting incompetent or something, but they respect it because they understand that, like, well, this person has the expertise and they really care about my best interests. So
Yep.
Yeah,
we definitely agree with that.
yeah, we definitely do the tagging each other in and out on patients.
You have to. So
yeah, and it seems like patients always respond well to it because they know that they know that we're getting them the best possible care that they can get that way. Yep.
Yeah, no matter what, you just humble yourself and say, she's better at this or he's better at this, so I want you to get better. So
yes.
Yep, absolutely. So as you guys got ready for opening, how did you go about setting your short-term goals and long-term goals, and how did you manage those? Is that something that you guys really talked out and planned, or is that something that just kind of happened?
So short-term goals, we do those at the beginning every week so far is what we've been doing.
Yep.
Like how many new patient exams we want to at least get so many per week, and how we're going to market ourselves this week, or I guess that's
a lot of what we do for short term.
Yeah. And then for long term is when we're going to move out. So saving money and trying to make as much money as we can right now while we don't have to pay rent. But
it's really just
to get out.
So for like, we write down our short-term goals, or at least try to put them out there to each other, so we're both on the same page and can hold each other accountable. A lot of them, like she said, are just new patients per week, how our marketing for the week and everything like that. Long-term goals, we've written those down or talked about, like a general salary for 6 months, 8 months, how many patients per month for 6 months, 8 months, and stuff like that. So I don't know, a lot of it's verbal. We should write it down more, but it's better when you have two people that are doing the same business, because then you can hold each other. So.
Right.
Yeah. So do you guys, at the end of the week, do you go back and sit down and look at which goals you met, which ones you didn't, and kind of figure out? Okay. So
yeah, definitely. So we'll go through like our reports and everything every single week. We've been doing it almost daily, just because since we're a new business, things slip through the cracks. And so in terms of billing and everything, so it's good to like, and that's what she's good at. I just like treating people. I'm good with marketing, but I just like treating people. So
yeah. So are you guys kind of looking at anything else as far as making sure that your relationship stays on track while you go through this, or any thoughts on that?
Relationship. Well, just never take anything to heart. It's a business, and at the end of the day, you're still together,
and working together.
And you're working together, so don't get offended by anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
and if someone like tries to help you, don't think they're trying to step on your toes. That's a big one, because like the day she had someone and I didn't step in because I told her she could do it, and I know she could, and I didn't step in because I didn't want to step on her toes and make her feel like embarrassed in front of the patient. But she got done what she needed to get done, and she didn't take offense to it. And then in terms of like outside of it and taking care of a relationship, we always find time for each other regardless, and apart. So like I have my things I like to do, but a lot of times you're working together the same at the business and at home. So.
Absolutely.
So how do you plan out your daily tasks and weekly tasks? I mean, it sounds like, at least weekly wise, it sounds like you're having a meeting at the beginning of the week to try to, is there anything you're doing at the beginning of each day, a huddle or anything at the beginning of the day to make sure everybody's on the same page or anything like that?
Yeah, generally before we open, we'll talk over like what our goal for the day is, or who we're seeing for the day and how we need to treat them, and
our plan of action
with that patient and beyond, in terms of like their care, referrals, etc. We do that almost every single day. And then since we have a little extra time, because we're not super busy right now, we'll usually check in and say, hey, we need to do this or we need to do that. And a lot of times we'll write down specific things to make sure we get it done. They're done for the day. So
I was going to say, and we delegate, like he does the marketing, and
yeah,
I've learned that I'm a lot better at the business side. So like the billing and running reports and making sure we're actually billing patients. And
That's awesome.
It's a good thing to get done.
She likes,
I forgot one.
Well, that definitely, I mean, you kind of just answered, what, and you touched on this a little bit, Eric, before, but, what do each of you bring to the table towards that? And that, that just may be like, who's better at marketing, who's better at billing and everything. How have you kind of assigned different tasks for each other with that being said, like throughout your day?
It's just kind of been natural, like, of who does it. So she has past experience being a CA, and she got thrown into a situation in a higher volume practice where the CA went on maternity leave, and so she was just thrown in there. So she had to learn everything. Wow. EHR, billing, following up with patients, scheduling, insurance. So she's learned all of that, and I've never had that experience. I've shadowed, but not doing it. I never really learned that in depth. So she's really good at that, and reading reports as well, I guess, and printing them out. So I just kind of let her strength do that because she's really good at it. And then in terms of marketing, I like social media, and I kind of understand like what people want to see. So I've kind of just taken over that, and I don't know. That's just kind of how we delegated it. We help each other with both of them, obviously, because I want to help her with the business, and she obviously wants to help with social media. But for the most part, we've delegated it like that. So
that's awesome. So how do you decide who does the things nobody wants to do? Like, customer service, and who takes out the trash at home, and who does those things?
So I love to clean.
Yeah,
so.
That's easy. Too much sometimes.
No problem.
Yeah, sometimes too much. A lot of times when it comes to, and it's fine, but like calling and like taking care of business like things with like internet, our table is having problems right now. I usually just put on my plate. I don't know if
handling
mail and like she just feels like she'll be taken advantage of or something, but
yes,
it usually gets put on my plate, which is fine.
Yeah. Very good.
So how are you, what kind of time management skills or strategies are you guys using to divide up that social media time and business time? Because it seems like the social media can really easily take over your entire day without. So how are you approaching that to make sure that you're doing appropriate amount of time with each thing?
We haven't really delegated time for it.
Yeah, I would say, well, there's a couple podcasts I've listened to, and while you're in business hours, it's fine to be on social media, I believe, and it's based off of what he said, but it needs to be utilized for business. So if that means you're creating a post, learn how to master creating a post and being able to do it within 10 to 15 minutes, get it posted, and then later in the day, you can take another 10 to 15 minutes to follow up, respond to people, and kind of create rapport with whoever watched it or any of that. We haven't been so busy that like we have to like delegate that time, but that's kind of what I employ, I think. I'm doing a little bit more though, because I get on Instagram and use the location targeting and go on there and type in the city, and then I go comment on people's posts in the city. And, I've gotten pretty good response from that. So
yeah,
probably a little more on there than I should be, but with the time, it's helping bring in patients. So
while you have the time, do
we have a ton of time right now, so it's been beneficial.
But when we get busy, you just have to say, okay, 10 to 15 minutes for the post, 10 to 15 minutes for the follow up.
Yeah, I think that's good because now it's really easy to kind of end up wasting a lot of time, but you're kind of building that now. So that so that when you do have extra time and you're doing extra stuff, that's no big deal, but you still kind of have that strategy in place. So when you do get busy, you're able to,
definitely
to accomplish what you need to without losing a bunch of traction on what you're working on anyway.
Yep.
And what I've seen from a lot of like, so I follow a bunch of guys on Instagram that kind of do social media marketing, and a lot of them will just shoot their video at lunch, edit it, and then put it out either the next day or that day. So they build that time in there as that's their marketing, because it can be huge marketing if you do it right and put it to the right crowd. So
absolutely. Yep. So how about dividing time between business and work time and then your own time? You already kind of mentioned things have time together and time apart. And how do you figure out when to do which thing?
We've gotten kind of lazy about doing our notes. So
already?
Oh no.
Well, we need to finish them. Like, we have a few patients to finish tonight, but for mostly we just do all of the business at the office. And then when we come home, business is off, and we may talk a little bit about what our strategies will be the next day or the next couple weeks, but
it's nothing too serious usually. So, and it's not a bad thing actually that we have notes to do. It's because we were actually busy today, so I'm kind of excited about that. But I'd still like to get them done at work.
Yes.
Yeah, when you're at work though, it seems like you just end up piling more stuff on, and it's like you can't get that break to actually catch up on some of that paperwork stuff.
The second you're not doing anything at the office, or the second you're treating patients, the phone doesn't ring. And then the second you sit down to do those notes, or actually the second that I start treating patients, it seems like that's when the phone decides to ring. I don't have time. Well, so can you guys give us an example maybe of when you've maybe faced a little bit of a struggle? So say when you're dealing with like build out or getting this started, can you kind of give us an example of anything that has, that was a struggle?
I've got a lot of patience, let me tell you.
No, I was going to say not really.
Build out was a struggle. About everything we tried to do, we ran into problems, and so I got very frustrated very fast, especially since we were doing it ourselves and I had no clue what I was doing. It would like double the time of the most simple task. Like, let's bring up, what was it? Trying to put in the pedestal sink. Well, I drilled through the wall, and then they decided to put double thick 2x4 back there. So now my toggle bolt won't work, and now I just got a big hole. So now the screw or the bolt screw won't work. So now I had to redo that whole section and put a new 2x4 in there. And then after I did that, then we had a leak with the shutoff valve, and it was just like, so usually what I did is I just left and went and walked away and did whatever I want, and then came back about a couple hours later.
Also, if I had an idea and I would tell Eric, he'd be like, okay. And then his buddy would tell him the exact same thing. It's like, oh, we should do this. And I was like, I already said that. So.
I'm one of those people, like, it's hard to convince me.
He needed reassurance.
And sometimes I wait too long to do it that it's too late. And so it's just good to hear it twice. I don't know.
It's a pain in the butt, but
it slowed down build out, but it also saved us from like having to redo some stuff. So it was good at the same time.
Have you had any struggles like at home, with family or with dogs? I know you're full blown dog mom, like I am. Anything like at home that maybe has kind of hindered you from paying full attention to your business?
As of now, not really. During our opening weekend, it was kind of hard because we were doing Rover, which we were dog sitting another person's dog, staying at their house. Family was in town, and they wanted us to give them attention, and then we're trying to get stuff ready for the opening. So that was kind of difficult. But other than that, like, in terms of like animals, Charlie's our office manager. Charlie, our little monster.
Yes.
And it hasn't been too bad, honestly. Like,
I was going to say, a lot of patients have come in saying it's nice to have pet therapy, like dog therapy, and they've picked him up and they're like, this is all I really needed. That's the only reason I come here. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah.
But handling tasks at home hasn't been too bad. I think Yeah,
so
yeah.
we'll see.
So we're not so busy like that we can't, but I think also if it's a priority, you'll get it done. So you just have to prioritize.
Absolutely. Well, what have you kind of learned from this whole build out, dealing with patients, internal, patients? What have you learned in that process?
You can answer that, and I'll answer.
To take a step back, and everything's not going to go right the first time, because literally nothing went right the first time, and it took us 2 to 5 times to get things right. But we just had to set it aside, take a deep breath, and know that it's not the end of the world, and just keep going. So,
What about with patients?
With patients, what about it?
What was the question? Like, what have you learned about working with them?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Throughout this whole building your own space process.
Well, it's been very rewarding already. And I think if you really take the time, because we kind of talked about how you guys practice, if you really take the time and educate your patients and really learn what they need and get to the bottom of that, it pays off so much. And the patients truly value it, and they're more likely to refer people. They're more likely to get results because they feel comfortable. And like some of the things, it's been incredible so far. Some of the things that you see and how you make people feel, it makes it all worth it. Even though we're stressed and like I get super nervous about having new patients, especially ones I don't know, or like complex cases, because I had some guy who had severe stroke, and he had some really complex issues, but he saw huge results from it, even from one visit. And he messaged me and said that he had or he felt better than he had in the last 4 years from one visit. And so it's just like incredible to hear that stuff.
Yep.
No matter how stressful the exam was, you just, like she said, you take a step back and like it's great.
After that visit, I was like, Eric, this is why we're chiropractors.
That's right. Yes.
I just wanted to celebrate with him, and just to have him take a step back and be like, you just helped him open up his hand. Like that was, and he has 2 little babies that are crawling on the floor, and he's unable to pick them up. So I was like, Eric, that's your goal. You're going to get it so that he can pick his babies up. And it was just super exciting. Just in our 2nd week of practice, already having a huge case like that. So
that's been hard though, is really taking a step back and enjoying it. Like when those patients say that stuff, but at the same time, like it's stressful, and it's your livelihood, and you guys know just as well as us that student loans are outrageous and they should never have been that way. But you've got to pay them off, and you don't ever want it to be about the money. You really don't. But in the back of your mind, it's there, just because if you don't, you can't pay them. So taking a step back and like really enjoying it, it's hard, but you have to do it. So
absolutely.
I think it's pretty incredible when you see the finished product, that it's so easy to take for granted all the work that goes in beforehand. And even the work, even when you are good, really good, and your processes are really good, and you make it look easy, and it seems easy when you're looking at it from the outside, but people never understand how much work went into that beforehand. And I think probably all of us are guilty of that too. No matter how much we thought we knew or how much we thought we were ready for stuff, that when it really came time to actually do something, then something that should have been 1 step, drill a hole and put a bolt in, into like a 12-step process. And patient care can be the same way, where what looks like on the outside to somebody watching, or even to a patient, is that they just walk in, you treat them, and they walk out and they feel better. There's so many more steps that are involved in that nobody ever really realizes until you've actually built that.
Done it. That's the truth, because even being cash based and not dealing with insurance, there's still a lot of things you have to do to comply and with the patient. So it's a lot more than we ever thought. So
well, and I know that this is just purely speaking from chiropractic standpoint, but I know that the healing that we can help patients with, or that we can provide just from being there, like emotionally, has been one of my biggest. Like, I can have a day where I don't care how many patients walked away feeling amazing, and we had an amazing, full day, I'll have a couple patients that are just like, they put a lot on me, like emotionally, and I will just feel drained. And so you have to take that step back and like, okay, what are all the good, what are the good things about this? How am I going to help this patient who is really having a hard time that I have like, just had a therapy session with? We should be chiropractors / psychologists, I think, sometimes. But that's so part of the healing process. So it's really important to just remember, like, this is all for the better good.
That's kind of cool you said that, though. It's kind of like, I guess you just think of it as like, instead of a curse, it's an opportunity. So even though they're really draining, it's an opportunity to truly help them, an even bigger opportunity because they have that. So
yeah. Absolutely.
Well, so what have you guys learned, and what advice would you give to somebody now that you have your own business actually running, to a couple who are thinking about going into business together? What advice would you have for them?
In terms of like this, like strictly business, have plans and procedures in place.
Do some research. Really like get your plan drawn out. Like, we drew up, I think it only took 2 times for us to draw out what our exact office would look like. And on our second try, that's exactly what we made happen. Make sure your goals are in line with each other, because if they are not, then you guys won't mesh very well.
Or at least that you understand them. Because sometimes she has a little bit different goals with patients that she wants to have in me, but I still understand, and like the flow somewhat meshes together. If you're like complete opposite spectrums, it's going to be really hard to do, but you just got to have your plans, procedures, general office flow. Patient care can be a little bit different, but you got to have that common ground at the same time. Business-wise, or like in terms of treating people well, that's the number one marketing tool. If I had to give any advice, it's just to be honest and caring, and just be upfront with your patients. It's like that you really want to help them. This is how you're going to help them, and that you truly care about them. Because honestly, like a bunch of them, I'll tell them, I don't want to see you very often, because if I do, that means I'm not helping you, and all I want to do is help you. And most all of them truly appreciate that, and I think even that helps them right there. Like you said, emotionally, I think that's 50% of it. So
definitely.
All right, so kind of switching up a little bit to your kind of daily routines. How do you get your day started?
She wakes up late.
Ooh, threw you under the bus.
And I rush her out the door. And
every day.
That's kind of how it goes. Typically, I wake up a little earlier than her. I do check my social media almost every time in the morning to like respond to people, or see if I need to post anything. I get like a lot of the stuff ready for the day for her and I, not all of it, and then try to get her going out the door. Usually check our schedule in the morning to see like who we have and what time. And then we just have like a short meeting, even if it's on the drive to work, which is only 5 minutes. It's still time to kind of figure out what's going on for the day and what we need to focus on. So
very good.
So is there anything that you found that you do either every day or every week in business or relationship that you found is a real difference maker to keep you on track?
Probably we sometimes write our goals down, and I feel like we've been achieving them more when we do write them down. So it's something we need to continue doing. Yeah. But I don't know.
I mean, I feel like we've done pretty well verbally, because we hold each other accountable no matter what, like even if it's not concrete on paper, but
still saying it out loud to another person and then repeating it is another way for us to just remember we need to get this done, or we need to do this week, or whatever.
And relationship wise, it's just always giving that person that time. We almost every week we have a date night, whether it's sitting on the couch and watching a movie together or something. But it's pretty easy for us to not forget about each other in terms of that relationship wise. It is like some people get caught up in the business, and I did that a little bit when we were trying to figure out what we were doing. Like I was all business, go, 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 because I was nervous. But now it hasn't been too bad, honestly. So
I'm needy, so I just ask for attention and I get it.
Well, and at the end of the day, the most important thing is your spouse. So prioritize. Like, yeah, business is important, money is important, but at the end of the day, like, I didn't marry the business, so. And no matter what money comes and goes.
Quote of the night so far. That one's definitely going in the show notes.
Yeah, I think we've really found, and I've been thinking, lately, because we've kind of had, this Better Business and Marriage is kind of a separate project from our office. But I actually had a patient today or yesterday or a few days, maybe I guess it was last week. This is Monday.
Yeah.
Last week that was really asking me, like, what is your office's mission statement kind of thing. And I really and why do you treat the patients the way that you do? And it really does, for us, come back to that everything being in a line, everything, our marriage being in alignment, our business being in alignment, and our personal lives all being aligned together for one goal together to become something bigger, because the sum is greater than its parts. So that becoming bigger and larger than and better than what any of those things could ever become on their own. So I think it sounds like you guys are kind of right in line with that.
Yep. So. What is your mission statement for your practice?
Oh, I'm gonna have to read it to you so I get it right.
Yeah.
So we'll take a quick. You want to ask the last question?
I will. Okay. Last question. What is your favorite things to do together? Favorite vacation, favorite date night, what is your favorite thing to do together?
Go to San Diego.
I knew it. California.
Yeah, we'd love to go to California, but I don't know.
Actually, just to vacation in general. I like to just create memories and have actual physical memories instead of, yes, I love shopping and I spend a lot of money on that, but I'd rather spend my money on traveling and seeing the world with him. So,
well, you guys
go ahead.
You have to go to San Diego via Phoenix sometime, because flying here, then we're only 4 hours from San Diego.
Yep.
We do want to come back down there again. We went there right after we had gotten married, and then we took Part 1 boards Friday and then left on Saturday morning. We're there for 2 days, and we didn't get to experience much of it, but like Phoenix, Scottsdale was super cool. Like,
Yeah, we got a lot of fun stuff down here. Yeah. All right, so our mission statement is to rise above the status quo in all aspects of our lives, our marriage, our craft, and our business, to have all aspects of life enhance each other to a whole that is greater than anything we could achieve in each area individually.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I'm not going to tell you mine now.
No,
we don't have like a mission statement necessarily like that's dedicated to like our lives. It's mainly just towards our practice. Yeah. And it kind of goes off of our the name we chose. Identity Chiropractic, which is to treat everybody as an individual and get them the care that they truly need, because we feel like the health industry is kind of
one size fits all.
Yeah, one size fits all. Here's your number, stand in line, and this is your treatment.
Yep. And if this one doesn't work, then we'll throw another one at you, and maybe that one will.
Yeah,
or we'll refer you.
Or we'll refer you to someone else.
No, that's perfect. You can try their program.
I do.
No. So,
absolutely.
Well, is there anything else that we have missed that you guys would like to add in here?
Not particularly, but I mean, like, how have you guys found, this would be good because I don't know if you guys talked about it, because you always ask people questions, but how have you guys found balance between business and relationship?
Ooh, turning the tables around on us.
Well, you guys are always asking me questions, so
I'm
sure people would want to know.
That's true. Honestly, we just do everything together. So balance for us is just staying together. But then balance, full-blown balance for us is also him going to a golf tournament and me staying at home sleeping in with the dogs, or what, you know what I mean? Like balance is also going and doing whatever it is you need to do for yourself. Yeah, I need to go out. I need to take the dogs for a walk. I just need that fresh air. Babe, yes, go play golf. Like, go. Great. That's what do you think? We work a lot, guys. We live and breathe work, but it's incredible because we love it. We love that we do it together. So
it's something you can share. So
I think it's always remembering that even though you're with each other all the time, that there is still, the business is still separate from your private life. And so, or your relationship. And so the things that necessarily it's easy to get caught up with a conflict at work or something like that. And then you want, like, the temptation is there to hold on to it and bring it into your relationship. But I think that part of maintaining that balance is being able to differentiate that this is something that we're doing as a business together. And that's what this conversation or conflict is about. And then vice versa, that when you have something you need to work on in your relationship, not letting that come into the workplace and take something out at work on that from your relationship.
Exactly.
I think it's really important to be conscious of where whatever thing that you're discussing, where it falls, and to handle it in that arena and maintain that, I think.
Yeah, you definitely have to know how to separate them. So, which is huge. Sometimes, obviously, you're going to drag personal stuff in there if you're just having a bad day, but you just kind of have to step back and say, hey, check how your energy is and how it's affecting others. So it's important.
Well, thanks for the interview, guys. We'd love to we'd love to be on again sometime.
I just wanted to know because, I mean,
that's good.
People probably want to know that. So,
well, now they kind of do.
I think it's good. It's good for us to think about it sometime because that is why we started the project. This project is for us to learn.
Yes.
And I think after every single one of our interviews that we have done, especially like when we go back and we re-listen and get show notes and then edit and everything, we're always reminded of something. I think our relationship and our business probably grows a little bit after every single one of these interviews.
That's what I was going to say. It probably helps you guys grow as well. So
for sure.
It's awesome though.
All right. Well, thank you for taking some time away from your notes and
go get them done.
And talking with us. And we look forward to talking to you guys again. And maybe I'll see if I can find that old interview and throw it back up so we can compare with how far we've all come.
Yay!
Right. Exactly.
Well, thanks, guys. We wish you well and look forward to talking again.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hopefully we can be on again.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Good night, guys.
Good night.